So, welcome everyone. Today, we have the opportunity to hear from an expert on how small businesses can harness PSEG Long Island's EV program to grow your business. You're going to be excited about the ways you can do it. And I'm excited to learn more as well. So, let me introduce you to our panelist. Today, we are thrilled to welcome Paul DiBenedetto. He is the Electric Vehicle Program Manager at PSEG Long Island with a background in general engineering with a focus on alternative energy and power generation, and a minor in energy engineering, which he received at Penn State University in 2016. He's a certified energy manager where he received from AEE and is pursuing an MBA in innovation at Stony Brook University. Wow. Welcome, Paul.
Glad to be here. Thank you, Elizabeth.
Yes, absolutely. Thrilled to have you here with us. And I'm Elizabeth Aloni with Schneps Media. We're the largest local media company in the New York metro area with over 100 media outlets from Manhattan to Montauk. So we are thrilled to be able to welcome Paul. So let's jump right in. There's so much talk about electric vehicles. You and I were even talking about it before this began. So can you share with us where we are with EV electric vehicles in New York and here on Long Island and tell me, are electric vehicles really being adopted at a significant rate? It's hard to tell.
Yeah, no, and it's definitely been growing substantially. So just last year, we were proud to announce or celebrate 50,000 EVs were on the road on Long Island as the end of 2023. We celebrated in 2024. Now we have over 75,000 electric vehicles, on Long Island alone. There's
Wow.
over 200,000 EVs here in New York State, and Long Island is leading the state in EV adoption. And I feel like you can't go down the road when you're driving now without seeing some sort of EV, on the road with you. So it's continuing to grow. And I think it's just because now there's more choices to be, there's a lot more models out there. Ones
Hmm.
that have greater range, faster charging capability, and more affordable. So, yeah, it continues to grow, and really excited about it.
That's great to know because it's hard to gauge, and sometimes you don't even know that a car is an electric vehicle. So certainly, at least from my generation, I don't know. So can you give us a quick, I think, one of the big things about EVs is obviously the charging and managing that charging. Can you give us a quick 101 on charging?
Yeah, and what I can do is, so if I jump over
Oh
to,
yeah.
yeah, so you have some great slides,
Yeah,
and
this is great
just
stats.
yeah, and I did also just want to call out here, with EV adoption here on Long Island, I mentioned before that there's over 75,000 EVs, and that growth continues to be, more in battery electric vehicles and plug-in hybrids. A lot of towns I want to call out, Town of Hempstead, Oyster Bay, North Hempstead, Brookhaven, and Huntington. A lot of those towns are starting to see a lot of EV ownership there, and
Hmm.
a lot more communities as well. So we're going to continue to monitor that and see, more and more towns and communities are adopting EVs. But when it comes to just, EV basics or EV 101, there are different types of EVs. There are battery electric vehicles and plug-in hybrids, with plug-in hybrids having that backup engine just in case you need to go a little bit further. Whereas battery electric vehicles are just primarily electric, but they have, more range. But when it comes to charging those EVs, there are three different levels of charging. So we have level one, level two, and DC fast charging. What I would say the vast majority of customers, install at home or at businesses would be a level two charger. I have one in my house, and it's very easy to install. But DC fast chargers, you typically see these along like the highway or at retail stores. And it's the main purpose is to kind of provide a quick charge for customers for EVs. That way they're stopping, getting quick charge, and then going to their next destination. But right now we're kind of in this interim phase where there's a lot of different connectors, as you can see at the bottom slide here. And what a lot of automakers are actually transitioning over to is this North American Charging Standard, or the NACS. If you're familiar with that connector, Tesla uses them, and a lot of automakers like Ford, Hyundai, Volkswagen, Toyota, a lot of them are starting to adopt this connector type, and it'll just
Mhm.
make it that much easier for customers to understand, what connector to use. And there's also adapters out there to kind of interconnect each other. So
Interesting. Well, thank you for that 101. That's helpful in understanding it. So for businesses, so I'm in business, we have our small businesses, joining us. what is the benefit, for them to be interested in electric vehicle adoption on Long Island and the Rockaways?
Yeah.
What does it do for me, Paul?
Yeah, no, agreed. So let me jump over to this, and I'll start here, but this will go into a further conversation. But the reason why businesses should be interested in it is because first and foremost, there's just that many EVs on the road. I mentioned earlier over 75,000 EVs, but it continues to grow, and that means there's more customers that could go to your business, and you could stand out from other businesses. But there's also money on the table. PSEG Long Island offers incentives for you to install EV charging, whether that's for public use, for workplace charging, or for fleet. So there's a number of different reasons why you should consider it. And what we'll be covering today, there's a number of businesses that have taken advantage of this. They have utilized our programs and installed those chargers. And I can talk at length about a lot of businesses that have done it for different reasons. Maybe it was to attract customers, so maybe they weren't making as much money on the chargers themselves, but they were making it through the products and services that they sold, or they were spending more time at their business, or they were trying to attract a new type of customer, or just trying to show their sustainability. So there's a lot of different reasons why a business may want to consider it. So yeah.
I mean, it really, in talking about it and learning about it, it seems like a really savvy business decision because, look, all businesses, we're all looking for new clients, new customers, and new ways to attract them. And, being able to become that kind of a destination for people, you kind of become part of their plan. I know if I hadn't had an electric vehicle, I would want to know just where I could go wherever I am. And those would become my like go-to, my safe havens on the road. And what a like halo effect I would imagine it would be for a business to kind of be considered that safe haven, that stopping point, that I know that's how I feel when I see a gas station. I know I plan out where the gas stations are when I'm doing all the things I have to do. So I mean that's a benefit all alone.
Yeah, I mean, I'm personally an EV owner, and when I travel, there's a particular station where I go to now, versus maybe the old gas station I went to. If that gas station had a charging station, maybe I would stop there. But to your point, like once you start to travel a lot more, or if you're commuting and you know that there's a business that has an EV charging station than one that doesn't, you're probably going to go to the one that has it, just because it's more convenient for you to stop there.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's definitely more incentivizing for customers to go to your business if you have that extra amenity.
hmm And then also, like, why not buy something? I know, if I stop somewhere and I have some time to kill, I know I'm not alone. I'm gonna shop.
Yeah, get an extra, you get coffee, chips, maybe go see a movie, whatever you want to do. Yeah, totally.
Yeah. So it's really, really some really great ways to do that. And I mean, I would imagine that the fact that you're standing in that important place of sustainability probably attracts employees and attracts new clients who align with that. And because this is also it's convenient, but it's also, it is about the environment too. So, that does say something about your business to potential employees and customers.
Yeah, and even to the point of workplace charging, if you're trying to attract talent that, maybe some of them are working remotely and you're starting to, return to the office, or just trying to find ways to entice your employees or customers just to come to your business and office, that could be a way of doing it. Beyond just the coffee perks, there might be charging perks, and that
That's
really,
true.
yeah, that could really attract employees to go for that. So
That's true. That would make a big difference to me. I don't
yeah,
know, maybe it's more important even than working out.
yeah,
Making sure I could charge my car.
yeah.
So what about the other piece of it? Because there's, the piece of businesses in charging, but then there's also vehicles that businesses use, whether it's a fleet of vehicles or a few vehicles. How do EVs play into that in helping businesses and grow?
Yeah, and what I'm going to do, I'm going to jump ahead just to one slide. We'll go back, but there's again similar to what I was just saying before, but there is money on the table for these things. If there's a business that's out there that is interested in electrifying their vehicle fleet, talk to us, because there's a lot of great reasons why you should consider it. first and foremost, we have a free service, and I'll go into a little bit more of that later. But you know, I was mentioning earlier, there's a lot more vehicles out there today that you could probably
Hmm.
make an easy transition over to with your vehicle fleet without there being any disruption to your operations. Maybe you have a delivery business and you bring catering food or whatever the case may be from one business to another. There are vehicles out there that can have enough range. They're affordable. There's available tax credits. But then the biggest aspect of this is that you don't have to change oil. You don't have to get it, maintained regularly like you do with a traditional vehicle fleet. There is the greenhouse gas reduction, but beyond that, there's also the cost savings for fuel. You don't have to fill it up with gas or diesel. You have, lower electricity rates at night when you charge them that way. So there's a lot of great reasons why businesses, whether it's a small fleet or a large fleet, you really should consider electrifying your vehicle fleet.
Yeah, it's again the halo effect of showing that you're being environmentally friendly. But then really from just a pocketbook standpoint, it makes a lot of sense. Fantastic. Well, I'm sold. So can you tell me more about the PSEG Long Island Make Ready program and how this can benefit businesses?
Yeah, so this has been we've a long-standing program that we've had for a number of years now, and we've helped over install over 1,000 chargers at this point, which we're really happy about. So there's over 1,000 EV chargers on Long Island that are helping customers get around the island, quick charging and going to businesses. So what is this program? This program helps to provide the infrastructure needed for level 2 and DC fast charging. It could be everything from workplace charging to maybe a shopping center, retail space, or multifamily. So there's a lot of different uses here, and you can see this charging station that you see on the right hand side. That is a grocery store here on Long Island that put in a DC fast charger for their customers. Again, trying to attract customers to their business. But right now, we offer $370,000 for the installation of DC fast chargers and up to $30,000 for level 2. We do have some exciting program announcements coming out later next month, and definitely stay tuned if you're interested. Definitely check out our website afterwards to hear more about it. But yeah, this has been a really great program, and we've seen a lot of success in this.
So you provide financial incentives to help install it.
Yeah, exactly. We work with contractors, developers that help put in the infrastructure for those chargers and also utility upgrades. So if you need, a certain amount of power, that's something that we can help accommodate.
Wow. So you make it very easy. It's not like, oh, I want to put a charger in. Now I have to figure it all out. You really help people step by step, most importantly, financially, but also, the other logistics of it. So it doesn't become another headache when you're trying to grow your business. This is kind of a no-brainer, kind of an easy way to do that.
Yeah, and we also have a lot of great resources on our website on how to apply. So just a how-to guide that we have on our website. We also host open office hours every Friday. So if you ever have any questions, we can always take those. But we also have a presentation that shows actual examples of projects that have gone through the Make Ready program, and there might be a business out there that has gone through something similar that you're looking for. So definitely check that out on our website.
Terrific. So with the PSEGLINY.com / go electric, would that be the best
Yep,
website?
exactly. Yeah,
Okay, I'm going to put that in
PSEG.
the chat
Yeah,
for everyone because that's, these questions, obviously we're going to answer questions today, but I want everyone to be able to continue to ask questions because this is really beneficial, um, to a business. So you mentioned something about the installers and like, do you refer contractors? How does that work?
yeah, so we're really excited. We actually just launched our partner program last year,
Oh,
and so you don't have to necessarily, use these contractors on our website, but it's a great resource that's available. So if you're unsure of who to maybe contact for this, it's available on our website. You can type in your address and you look up, contractors that are near you that are willing to install EV charger for you, whether that's for public charging or fleet. And so we just launched it last year. We're continuing to grow that list of contractors, but it doesn't limit you to using anybody else. So if you have somebody that's interested, they can definitely participate.
Oh, so that also because we speak to a lot of contractors. We may have some contractors on the webinar right now, so they can reach out to become one of those contractors that you refer.
Yeah, exactly. And using that URL that you just mentioned earlier, they can go onto our website and there's a section just dedicated for contractors and developers, and they can apply online.
Oh, great. That's great because also with developers, it's like it's a perfect they can do it, but they can also install it. I mean, I would think for developers, this is a great selling point for tenants. When you're developing a space, making sure that you have, because I'm sure we have developers too on this call, is that, and we'll be watching it afterwards, is that, I'm sure you find that developers who include this in their plans, it becomes a selling point for the tenants.
Yeah, and when it comes to multifamily, we've had a number of customers that are multifamily communities go through our Make Ready program, and so they've started to install chargers, for their tenants. Maybe it's by the clubhouse, or maybe it's in the actual parking lots where people park their cars. But it continues to grow, and there's a lot of interest, just because more and more of those tenants in those communities, they want access to EV charging. They want to buy an EV, but they just don't have access to home charging. And so a lot of them are starting to work with their boards. A lot of them starting to talk to their co-ops and whatnot. So yeah, it's definitely been growing in interest.
Yeah, that's terrific. Because I know I've seen some really cool electric cars, but then I think, where am I going to charge it? So if like I knew that my home had one or I had the option for, it would really make it much easier for me. That's great.
Yeah.
So now we've talked a lot about the EV Make Ready program for the chargers, but what about for the fleet programs? What kind of programs do you have for the changing over to fleet?
Yeah. So, as I was mentioning earlier, we do have a number of programs to support fleet electrification. And fun fact, this electric school bus, not it's kind of crazy to think about these big vehicles starting to go electric, but you can see it charging right now, and this is on Long Island. We already have a handful of electric school buses that are picking up students and taking them to school in a very seamless and quiet operation, but that's continuing to grow. And so we're actually supporting a lot of school districts here on Long Island to make that transition over. But we're also working with not-for-profits, local communities, and we are actually exploring expanding this offering to private businesses. So if there's a small to medium business that is interested, we would definitely love to speak with you a little bit further. But yeah, similar to EV Make Ready, this is to help cover the infrastructure for the EV charging. And if you maybe didn't think about this before, we definitely have a great resource for you, our fleet advisory service. This is a complimentary service that talks about how to work with the utility. So you may have only just been working with us just to pay your bill, and totally understandable. But as you start to make this transition over to an electric vehicle fleet, there's a lot more work involved. Requesting power from utility isn't, just one, two, three. There's a lot of work involved with engineering, but we also try to help you understand, your rates, understand what are some available incentives, and you know we have a very comprehensive tool on our website that can help you show what's your return on investment. How many years would it take if you were to transition your ICE fleet, which we refer to as internal combustion engines like gas or diesel, over to electric? How many years would it take to pay that off? So a lot of great resources. And I'll just say this, you're starting to see more and more companies start to electrify their fleets, whether it's Amazon with the Rivian delivery vans. I'm sure some of you guys are getting your packages delivered in those electric cars.
Yeah,
But
they're so
also,
quiet. I don't even know that
yeah,
they're here. I'm like, oh, look, my package. Yeah.
yeah, you gotta wait for the Alexa to notify you. But yeah, and even PepsiCo and Frito-Lay, they recently just transitioned a lot of their last mile delivery vans to electric.
Hmm.
So a lot of businesses are doing this, and it's not just for that sustainability piece. It's because it's a lower total cost of ownership. So
Mm.
definitely worthwhile to explore.
That's an important point because I think sometimes people just think, oh, it's good for the environment, but it also is good for your bank account. So that makes a big difference. So how would a business get started transitioning? Paul, what would be your advice for their first steps? I did share the website in the chat for the Fleet Make not the website, I'm sorry, the email for the Fleet Make Ready program and fleet advisory services. But what would a first step look like?
Yeah, my advice would be start to take a look at your vehicle fleet today and figure out like which ones are kind of getting to the end of their life cycle. You know, a lot of businesses start to think about, on average, I replace a vehicle every 5, 10, 15 years, whatever the case may be, and start to think about, and again, check out our website. I highly encourage you to do so because we have a catalog of EVs that are out there and you can try to find something that's comparable. So if you have a delivery van, well, you can probably find the Ford e-Transit van on our website through that tool and say, okay, well, if I have something very similar and I have three of these vehicles I want to transition over, or even just one, maybe you just want to get started with, a couple vehicles and not the whole thing. And that's really understandable. Um, you could do so that way. Start to think about the vehicles you have today. Which ones do you want to make the transition over to? And then talk to us. You don't have to be the expert on your vehicle fleet. We can help you get started with that.
That's really important because I think, new things can be overwhelming. And obviously, when you have a small business, you're very busy doing everything. So being able to turn to PSEG Long Island to lean on is really very important. So, I mean, it all sounds fantastic, but I would love to hear some of your great success stories because I feel like nothing explains it better than hearing others' experience with it. Could you share some of those success stories?
Yeah, and I'll try to talk about one from each program, but starting with EV Make Ready, again, we've helped install over 1,000 EV chargers, and again, that's helped us get to the 75,000 EVs that are out there. But everything from grocery stores. I mentioned earlier, there's a grocery store here on Long Island, Lidl. They installed a DC fast charger in Deer Park, and that was great to see. Those businesses start to put in chargers for them. And I think we have, if I just jump to, yeah, perfect. We have a couple different charging stations here across Long Island. And so I wanted to start with EVgo and Shirley. So this was a shopping center. You can actually see, funny enough, another Lidl grocery store right there. But they had a just off of Montauk Highway, and this is a great way to have access to fast charging for a number of EVs. And so we were really excited to get that project, up and running. Um, Suffolk Federal Credit Union, they put in a charging station at a number of their banks, across Long Island, and we helped to give them the incentives for that. But then the multifamily in Melville, the Greens, I was mentioning earlier that a lot of multifamily customers are starting to put these in their communities. And so this was an example of, a multifamily community. They put it in the parking lot where the residents actually live. And they started off small. You don't see a charger at every single spot, but it start to try to gauge what was the interest in that community. And I think, over time, we're going to see them coming back and applying for more chargers to be installed.
Really, I can't stop thinking about how much it encourages people to go to the business. Because I was just thinking, like Suffolk Federal Credit Union, it's like I feel, these the credit unions, banks, like they're having a hard time getting people to just show up and develop relationships with people and go to the bank because there's so many things you can do digitally, and what a big difference this can make for businesses. That's really exciting to me.
Yeah, and if the other success story that I want to talk about was Long Island Cares. So if you're not familiar with Long Island Cares, they are a food bank. They provide services for local community, and they give any resident that needs access to the food pantry, they are able to go to them. And they not only put in EV charging for people that wanted to visit, but they also, you can see this electric Ford e-Transit that they use to deliver food from distribution bank to bank. So it's available for them as one of their fleet vehicles, and they are looking to expand more and more. So again, another success story that we were really happy to see.
And what's
Um,
this check?
yeah, so we gave them, it was about $29,000 for them to put in the infrastructure for that EV charging station.
Wow.
So we were really happy to present that. We were really happy about that. And the one I mentioned earlier as well, Lidl. So over in
Mhm.
Deer Park, they had put this. This was a ribbon cutting ceremony. They had just opened up this grocery store about 2 years ago now, and they were trying to. The reason why they put this in here is because not only is it convenient in this area to go grocery shopping there, but they want access to the customers that were also going to the outlets, they happen to be just right by there. And so anybody that was maybe traveling from afar that wanted access to a quick charge, now they can, stop by, get a quick charge in. Maybe they get, a snack before they go to their next destination. So it definitely was a strategic reason to put that there. But yeah, a lot of great successes there.
You know what I realized too, because you were saying ribbon cutting, and as a media company, we cover a lot of ribbon cuttings. But I think these EV chargers too, I mean, they're newsworthy, right? So it's like if I'm just thinking about another benefit that you could use is you could create a press release about how your business is serving the community and helping the environment by installing this. And that, that could get you publicity. Because I was just thinking about the ribbon cuttings, but it's like there's another, if you're doing this, you want to make sure that you maximize the revenue that you can get from it, the visibility you can get from it. And maybe you could also share with us some best practices in managing the EV charging to maximize also savings. Can you share a little bit about that too?
Yeah, totally. And by the way, I do agree with you. You should definitely make it a big deal when you put in your charging station
Yeah.
because, yeah, it's a nice, it's a new service, it's a new amenity for customers or for employees. So definitely agree with you. And also, you can see here, like, you can wrap some of these chargers so that it has your brand logos or imaging. So there's definitely, a lot of great ideas out there to do that. But
That's
yeah,
great,
no,
Paul. That's great. I mean, it's like a living billboard. Someone's just going to stare at it. If they don't go to your
exactly.
store, they're just going to sit there and stare at your ad.
Yeah. So yeah, when it comes to managing EV charging, so there's a number of softwares out there that EV chargers can come with. And what that does is it allows you to, on your computer, you can kind of manage how the charger is being used. You can start to track, who's coming to your station, how much are you getting in revenue, how much it's costing you. But you also can manage, how much power is being dispersed. And why would you want to do that? So for commercial customers, they have what's called demand charges. And so maybe you want to manage how much is being dispersed so that way, certain during peak times or anything like that, you're able to kind of control how much you output. That way, you're not paying a substantial amount. But I will also just say that we are going to be eventually coming out with some rates to help address these things. But there are, other ways to do this. If you have a vehicle fleet, and you're looking to charge it at the right time. You don't want it to charge those expensive times. So a lot of these softwares allow you to program it so that even if you physically plug in the EV charger to the vehicle, it won't start charging until maybe the off-peak hours, so at night. And what that allows you to do is you're still able to get a full charge in the next day, so you can use that vehicle as you need to, but also do it at the cheapest rate possible. So that's why it's definitely worthwhile to explore, managed EV charging softwares out there or technologies for that reason.
Are those things that you can point people in the right direction to find too? Like the
We
right.
Yeah, we can give them advice. There's so many products out there today, and sometimes the charger that you pick may end up being like the software you have to use. But I would say definitely talk to the contractor that you're working with that's helping you install the chargers. They will probably have a better sense of what software might be best for you, depending on what your use case is, whether it's for public charging or for fleet charging.
Got it. Got it. This is really fantastic, powerful information. No pun intended with powerful, but it is. And it's really something that, I think most businesses probably didn't think about in terms of, the visibility it can give their business and the not just the cost savings, but also, the business building it can create. So, can we jump into, we have some great questions that are in the chat that I would love to be able to get to. That be okay, Paul, to
Yeah,
jump to?
definitely.
Okay, great. So I have a question here. How do I choose the right level of when I'm installing charging stations? That's a good question because you were talking about level 2 and DC fast charging. So how would this business person know what would be the right fit for them?
Yeah, that's a great question, and I'm going to use this slide just to kind of point these different types of examples here. So level two isn't going to, it's a little bit slower than DC fast charging. So you start to try to think about, well, how long do customers typically stay at my business, or how long do I want them to stay? If you're going to a convenience store, you're typically there for a few minutes, maybe 5, 10 minutes at most. But when you're, maybe at a store, or maybe you're at work, or in a multifamily, you're there for a couple hours. So depending on how long a customer is going to be there, that could definitely be one of the main reasons why you pick a level two versus a DC fast charger. And then the other thing to consider is, the financial investment. So
Mm,
level two is a lot less investment needed than DC fast chargers. And just to give you an order of magnitude of what that could look like, for a level two, you're talking between, maybe 5,000 to as high as $100,000, depending on how many chargers you put in, versus DC fast chargers, where those could be, hundreds of thousands of dollars. And again, we offer incentives to help lower those costs through our Make Ready programs. But that's just to give you an idea of, how much investment might be needed and how much time you think a customer is going to be there.
got it. And also people can ask too. Like I shared is that where someone could reach out about the Make Ready program, send an email there or go on the website and ask some specific, because sometimes you may have, it's more specific with your type of business. Oh, great. There's that too.
Yeah,
Perfect. It's also in the everyone, it's in the chat, and I'm also going to include it in an email. But if anyone wants to just grab their phone and grab that link right now, please do. If you could leave that on for a little bit, Paul, while we
yeah,
answer questions, that would be great. Um,
definitely.
yeah, terrific. So another good question I think this is can I charge customers to use charging stations that I plan to install? And also a secondary question was, how do I collect payment from customers? How does that work, Paul? I don't know. I don't
Yeah,
have an electric car. I don't. Yeah,
yeah.
tell me.
So I was mentioning before about the software. That's those platforms typically have payment processing systems that allow you to collect payment and set the rates. You definitely should be what, and I would say this. It depends on what you're going after. So, just an example, the Tangler outlets, in Deer Park, they offer free level two charging. And so it costs them to offer that free charging, but they're making that up in the extra products and services that are being sold at those stores. So that's an example of where someone's offering free charging, but they're making it up. Hopefully they're making it up in other ways. What most businesses do and encourage them to do so is to charge for that electricity. And so, we don't set the rates for you, but definitely would speak to, a contractor or the service provider that you're working with for that charger. They typically will tell you, based off of local rates in the area, you should be charging X amount. So definitely encourage you to do so. And like I said, you can use those software platforms to collect the payment. And, with our Make Ready program, I'll just also mention that we require, if it's going to be a public site, it has to use universal forms of payment. What that means is we don't want everyone to have to rely on a mobile app. We want them to pay with, a credit card, like whether it's Apple Pay or Tap to Pay, whatever the course may be. But it makes it that much easier for customers to make that transition over to electric and just
Right.
pay for it, like you would at a gas station.
Right, right. Is there a way to know kind of what people are doing in your area? Because I would want to do like if I'm putting in an electric charger, I would kind of want to know what are my competitors doing, what's going on around, because wouldn't want to, I'd want to be in line with that. Is there a way anywhere you can get that information?
Yeah, so I mean, there's a lot of great apps out there that help you know like where are all the charging stations. So like PlugShare, ChargeScape, there's ChargeWay, there's a Better Route Planner. There's a lot of great mobile apps out there. But the other thing you can do if you want to check out our website, there's a charging basics page, and that will actually show you where to find a charging station in the area. And what I would say is a lot of businesses are doing it. So whether it's a grocery store, strip mall, retail store, schools, a lot of schools have been doing it, workplace and so forth. A lot of them have put in those chargers. So definitely would check out, what business might be putting a charging station near you to see, what competition you may have.
Yeah, okay. Thank you. Let's see. Okay, we have another question. Who maintains the chargers? And are there
That's
additional costs then to operate and maintain the charging stations?
Yeah, that's a really good question. Because you don't want to just get the charger installed and just kind of abandon it because you want to make sure it looks presentable, people are able to go to it, they feel like it's working. So what a lot of contractors and developers do, they will typically, offer some sort of maintenance service with, the cost of them putting in their installation, they might offer that maintenance for you. And so there are a couple different ways that people do this. Sometimes it's charging as a service. And so, maybe there's no upfront cost, but you pay a monthly fee. And with that installation and managing everything, you also pay a maintenance.
Hmm.
There are electricians out there that you could hire just to kind of, if you didn't go through that they can make those updates for you or fix anything. So yeah, there's a number of different ways to do it, but I would say the vast majority of it is contractors that offer that service. And I would also say this: a lot of these stations are fairly reliable. There's not that many things that go wrong, but when it goes wrong, you want to have someone that's available to help you.
Yeah, absolutely. And that actually brings me to another question that we have here. I know you mentioned this, but if you don't mind just mentioning it again, they were asking, where is it? Um, about the preferred vendors. An attendee was asking about the preferred vendors. Do you mind? I know you shared about that, but do you mind just sharing about that again? Because we did have another.
Yeah, of course. So both under our Fleet Make Ready program and EV Make Ready program, on those web pages, there is a program resource. And when you click on that, you'll actually see a link that takes you to finding a contractor for those specific programs. And if you're a contractor that's looking to be put on that list, you can go to this psegling.com/go electric, and you'll see a page just for you for contractors to sign up, and we can review your application.
Fantastic. Fantastic. Now you were talking about money for the installation. Are those rebates? Is that kind of, 'cause a couple of people were asking, is there a rebate? Is there a rebate? Is that how you would define it?
Yeah, it's a rebate. So you would get a check in the mail. Typically, the way it works is that for both of our Make Ready programs, you'll apply to the program. Once we review everything, if everything looks good, we'll pre-approve you, which basically means that we're committing funds to your project as long as you go ahead with what you said you were going to install. Once you install the charging station, we will ask for closeout documents, and if everything looks good to go, we will issue a check in the mail, and it'll go to whoever was going to be assigned to that rebate. So yeah, fairly straightforward process, but it is a rebate.
Okay. And then another question. They said that they were told by a PSCG representative that new rates for charging stations would be coming in 2025. Have those come, are those available? Those what you were showing, or are those available now?
Yeah, so we're excited to be launching our EV phase-in rate. This is going to be a commercial rate targeted towards rate 285 customers right now. And one slide I didn't get to cover really quickly, if I can just jump back
Yeah.
to this. So if you are a business that has a public DC fast charging station or planning to install one,
Mhm.
we're offering a 50% demand charge relief from now until October, at the end of September for this year for rate 285 customers. If you're a rate 281 customer and you plan to put in a DC fast charger, this program is going to be available to you until the end of 2026, when we plan to roll out the EV phase-in rate in 2027. But the EV phase-in rate, we will be launching a website just for that in the coming months. So definitely check out our website, sometime around there to see all the latest information on how that rate works, how to sign up. But what we're trying to address there is underutilized charging stations and just having some relief for the operating costs, so your electric bill. We're trying to find ways to offer some discounts on demand charges or energy charges. But as you start to see more and more customers go to your business, just being responsible for more of those. So we're really excited for that rate to come out.
Oh, that's exciting. So
Yeah.
everyone make sure you're checking out the website. I want to make sure everyone sees it in the chat. I'm going to put it all in there again. So you're going to first see in the chat is PSCG Long Island programs to visit in the website. And then for questions on the EV Make Ready program, there's an email there. You see it up on the screen. It's also in your chat. You can copy it. And then if you have questions on the Fleet Make Ready program and Fleet Advisory Services, there's an email there. Everyone take out your phones. You can scan the QR code, but you can also grab it from here. Like I said, I will also have it in the email to you tomorrow. Paul, this has been so informative. Before we go, what's one last piece of advice you want to give everyone about, this incredible program, PSEG Long Island EV program?
Yeah, and I really do appreciate you having me, inform everybody about this stuff. My advice would be, the EV, I wouldn't, if you're thinking about putting in a charging station, I wouldn't like hold off on that. EV adoption is only going to continue to grow over the next, 5, 10, 15, 20 years. There's a lot of support in New York State for this. And I would just say that, with our programs, we do expect that more and more customers are going to be driving EVs. So if you're thinking about it, if you're on the fence about it, definitely consider it. And like I said, every Friday from 9 to 10 a.m., we have those open office hours. So if you're thinking about like, I got some questions or would this apply to me? Like, feel free to join us. It's, me and my team that are there, during that hour, answer any of your questions, whether it's small or large questions, we're there to help you. And yeah, we're really excited. So I would say, again, consider putting a charging station at your business.
I love that. And I feel like you make a really good point with how much this is going to grow dramatically. I made a joke and I said, I remember with the internet, I said, "Oh, I'm afraid to book my flight onto the internet. I don't know if I trust it." And now that's hilarious to think about. But I feel like that is where we are for some people with electric vehicles. And before we know it, that will be hilarious about electric vehicles. And you want to be one of the businesses that were there because they have their habits and you want to get into their habit before there's so many more places to use it. So thank you so much, Paul. This has been really informative. I'm excited about it. I'm definitely going to think about how we can incorporate this at Schnepp's Media and also personally for myself. So I really appreciate your time and all this important information.
Yeah, it's a pleasure to speak with you all. Thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you all for joining us. I hope you got a lot of great, valuable information for your business. Like I said, keep an eye out for the email. You'll get a recording of this. You'll get the contact information right into your email. Please share it with your community. Reach out, ask questions, and we really appreciate your being here. So have a wonderful day, and we'll look forward to seeing you on an upcoming webinar. Take care, everyone. Bye-bye.